Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Florida.
I'm the one, the ace, the only. Bring it back now. And the people in the back now. And the people in the back now.
On a Friday night in Miami, the Washington Nationals have arrived. The Marlins and the Nationals have not seen each other for a long, long time. The Nats are 2 over, having dropped 3 of 4 to the Phils. Rob Brantley's in the lineup. Sarasota's own Ian Desmond has had a terrific first half. Nats haven't seen Derek Dietrich or Ed Lucas yet, have they? The Marlins have seen Steven Strasburg. Nathan Eovaldi gets the ball for the Fish. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz, along with Tommy Hutton. This is an interesting matchup because these two teams have been so far apart now for the last almost 3 months, Tommy, that it's a different Marlin team. And it's very different for the Nationals because people thought the Nationals would be a first-place team.
Yeah, I don't think they've really reached their peak yet. And if you have a fan, bring it out because there's going to be some heat here at the ballpark tonight.
When they started this season, the Marlins and the Nationals, it was opening day, and the Marlins saw Steven Strasburg. Marlins know what he's all about. He's had success against them.
Yeah, he beat Ricky Nolasco 2-0 on opening day. Boy, that seems like a long time ago. He's going to face a different ball club, but here's a guy that's still just 24 years old. He turns 25 in about a week. We've heard so much about him over the years. He seems a little older. He's starting to put things together after Tommy John surgery in 2010, and his average fastball this year over 95 miles an hour, and he has a good one.
And he hasn't gotten a lot of run support, as evident by the ERA and the record. Now, the Nationals haven't seen a whole lot of Nathan Eovaldi, and Eovaldi deserves a better fate. With his ERA, he should have a few more wins.
Yeah, he's going to be making his first appearance against the Nationals. Also a strong fastball from Nathan Eovaldi. Right now he's working on the changeup, the breaking balls, his secondary pitches. If he can command those, he'll be just tremendous. But look at his fastball this year, average over 96. His last time out, a little bit of a tough break. He got a no decision against the Cardinals, but went 6 2/3 innings against that good hitting Cardinal ball club.
Now, he was lined up to get the win in that ball game, and the bullpen gave up the lead, and his win went goodbye. The Fish and the Nationals, it's a 3-game series. It starts tonight. When we get back, Ryan Zimmerman, one of the all-time Fish killers. He's in the lineup, and he's swinging it for the Nationals tonight. Miami and Washington, Game 1 coming up.
2 to go here at Marlins Park. Out in center field, Craig Minervini, now pinch hitting for Jeff Conine. Number 27, Frank Ford.
He's a right-handed hitter, but just as good as Greg Dobbs, I think, for that left side.
An unreasonable facsimile of Jeff Conine.
Hey, let's talk about another right-handed hitter for the Washington Nationals. Is a guy, Frank, who always seems to have the Marlins numbers. Whether he's slumping or not, when he plays the Marlins, Ryan Zimmerman is a tough hitter, and he's not slumping of late, hitting better than 300 of late. The home run bat's starting to come. He hit 25 last year.
If I can make a rather uncomfortable analogy, the Marlins are flip-flops and Ryan Zimmerman is a nail. I mean, he's been that way against the Marlins throughout his career since coming out of the University of Virginia. The third baseman has played 120 games against the Fish, a .316 average, 19 home runs, and a whole lot of runs batted in. The good news, Craig, is it's not a holiday, because it seems like every holiday when the Marlins and Nationals do play, he's hitting a big home run against somebody. He's been tremendous against the Marlins. He's had his issues defensively at third base this year, but he is an outstanding player, gives the Marlins fits, and they're going to have to keep him under control, hitting third in the lineup.
And seems to have his issues more on the ball hit right at him, more of the routine variety. You try bunting on him, he's got that great throw there. There is some concern, maybe his shoulder has been bothering him. But hitting a career high this year, .333 with runners in scoring position.
Yeah, he's been a clutch player throughout his career, not only against the Marlins, but against a lot of teams. He's come up with big hits. He likes the big occasion. He seems to thrive on it. Yeah. He's been a guy who's been tough for the Marlins to get out. And again, the Nationals have been down this year offensively from what they were last year. They were 4th or 5th in the league last year in hitting. Right now, they are tied for 13th in team batting average at .240, and they've scored the second fewest runs in the league, along with the Pirates. In the National League, the Marlins have scored the fewest, of course, but both Washington and Pittsburgh are where they are in the standings because of pitching.
All right, the question for the series is, will the Nationals see a different Marlin club? They beat them 5 out of 6, but that was in early April. Now the Marlins have been a hot club, winning 20 of their last 36 and scoring some runs, especially at home, where they've won 12 of 18. Baseball coming up. We'll see you on the postgame.
Florida is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. By AT&T U-verse TV. Check availability at 1-800-PICK-AT&T. Rethink possible. By Just for Men Auto Stop, the foolproof way to get rid of gray. And by Checkers. Feast on. Moment to go, Nathan Eovaldi. You don't see this often. I think this is the Jose Fernandez influence on the Marlins' young starters. But don't leave your catcher hanging there.
I love that. That's a great sign. You don't see a lot of starting pitchers do that.
JM Lexus brings you the starting lineup for the Nationals. Denard Span, Ian Desmond, All-Star Bryce Harper, Ryan Zimmerman, Adam LaRoche, Jason Worth, Anthony Rendon. Marlin fans haven't seen much of this fine young player. Wilson Ramos just off the DL and hot, and Steven Strasburg, remember, a Silver Slugger. And Denard Span comes to the plate to open up this series. The Nationals looking to get hot before the break. The Marlins trying to keep the beat going. The Fish have played very well since the end of May. 20-16 are the Marlins, and Eovaldi has been part of that. He makes his 5th start. His ERA right in the mid-twos, 2.55. Denard Span, Ian Desmond, Bryce Harper. Here we go. Pitch a Penny brings you the first pitch. And Span climbs in. The Tampa native takes a fastball that misses. And it's 1-0, 97 on that first pitch from Eovaldi.
Yeah, you saw the note on Nathan Eovaldi, 4 starts this year, 6 or more innings. You go back to last year, he's made 7 consecutive starts of 6 or more innings.
Jerry Lane is the home plate umpire. Hunter Wendelstadt, Alan Porter, Mike Estabrook on the bases. That would be a strike. Span, the speedy center fielder, Catholic High School in Tampa, born actually in Washington, D.C. And a longtime Twin, 5 years with the Twins. Smacks that one foul and out of play.
You know, the Nationals have a few guys that are on streaks and that have been swinging the bat well. They have a couple of guys that have not been on streaks. So Davey Johnson wanting to get his leadoff guy, Denard Span, on track. He's 0 for his last 13.
And Span at the top of the order for a team, as Frank Fort and Craig Minervini pointed out, are not scoring runs like they did last year. 98, and it just missed. And the 3-2 is up. You see Eovaldi react. You go back to his last start. That was one of the things early that frustrated Eovaldi and maybe shortened his innings were the 3 walks that he had in St. Louis. Marlins defensively brought to you by the Cleveland Clinic, Florida.
You see the outfield of Luciano Ozuna and Stanton. Marcell Ozuna with his 8 assists. Lucas Echeverria, Dietrich, and Logan Morrison around the infield. And Rob Brantley had a big home run the other night behind the plate.
Ian Desmond now. And Desmond takes a fastball for a strike. Desmond having a really solid season. And, of course, finished 4th in the final vote. He has all-star type numbers, 24 doubles, 15 homers. He's certainly picking up where he left off last year.
Rich, Ian Desmond has more extra base hits, 41, than any shortstop in the major leagues.
His slugging percentage last year was over 500, 511. This year, it's just a tick under at 493. So you get that type of pop out of a shortstop, you really have something offensively. And for a team that has had a lot of injuries, this is game number 92 on the season for Desmond. That's tops on the Nationals.
We've talked a lot about this all year. The ability that the Marlins pitchers have done in holding runners, quick moves, quick to the plate.
Eovaldi misses in. And it's 2-1. Randi Institute helping us with Fox Tracks tonight. 9 walks in 24 2/3 innings for Eovaldi. Was in line for the win in St. Louis. It was that Matt Adams home run off of Mike Dunn that spoiled that. Liner over the head of Dietrich and in the gap in right field. Stanton cuts it off. Speedy Denard Span arrives at third, and the Nationals are set up with a leadoff walk and a single by Ian Desmond.
Well, right now, Nathan Eovaldi trying to establish number one command of that fastball. He hasn't really gotten himself in a situation, in a count, where he could use the breaking pitch. And if that continues, the Nationals will just stay back and have good rips at that fastball.
And Chuck Hernandez, it's one of the works in progress with Eovaldi is command that secondary pitch. You talk about aggressive and swings. Here's a guy that has one of the most aggressive swings in the game, and that's Bryce Harper.
20 years old, and he's on his way to his second All-Star game.
He's played in just 55 games, as you see. He's got 13 homers, 29 driven in. He and Jerry Lane sharing a moment. And you saw in that bottom line that .476 average against the Fish. And of course, the tone of his season was set from the very start. On the 1st of April, opening day against Ricky Nolasco, the Nationals beat the Marlins 2-0. Harper, in his first two at-bats, 2 solo homers.
Well, you talk about it, and one on the curveball from Ricky Nolasco. And that one was the changeup. So a couple of off-speed pitches he took deep.
2-0, and there's the swing, but Eovaldi got in on it. So Eovaldi in a tight spot here. He hasn't commanded the fastball. He's been behind everyone, and he's got Harper, Zimmerman, and LaRoche anxious to get a rip at that 96, 97 mile an hour fastball. Desmond can run. He's got 10 stolen bases this year. This is where, especially for a young pitcher, and make no mistake, Eovaldi's young, he's 23. Trying to figure out mechanically what's gone wrong here is not easy to do.
He's only thrown one off-speed pitch, a changeup. 13 of his 14 pitches have been fastballs.
Brantley held it for a while.
There's been a couple of calls, too, that haven't gone his way, which also haven't pleased him too much either. So he's going to have to work around that.
It's borderline, but it's more out than in. And Chuck Hernandez on his way out. It's a bases loaded, nobody out spot here for Eovaldi. And Ryan Zimmerman, just before first pitch, we showed you the damage that Zimmerman has done against the Marlins in his career.
Now, I was never real good at this, Rich, when you do the equations in high school and beyond, but this isn't a good equation. First of all, you mentioned Ryan Zimmerman and how well he's hit the Marlins in his career. Over 300, 19 home runs. Ryan Zimmerman is also the Nationals' best with runners in scoring position this year at 333. So you add those to the equation, I know that's not too good.
And that 333 for him is a career high right now. A walk, a line drive single, and another walk. And a struggling young pitcher right now in Nathan Eovaldi. Infield's back. Miami will give up a run for a shot at 2. And Zimmerman fouls it off. 98 miles an hour.
And you still have some muscle after Zimmerman. Adam LaRoche and then Jason Worth. Generally, Eovaldi not a ground ball type pitcher, even though you said you'd love to get that ground ball double play.
And Eovaldi steps off. And remember, this is all coming in a Steven Strasburg start. So you give up a ton of runs early, and that's a real issue with Strasburg on the mound. There's a good breaking ball.
That's a slider, the hard slider. Yeah, Strasburg hasn't gotten a lot of run support this year. But I tell you, this is a pitch. If he were to command that pitch, you have guys geared up for his 98-mile-an-hour fastball, then you throw that slider. That's where you can see the success in Eovaldi.
That slider was Jose Fernandez like. 0-2. Comes back at 98, and Zimmerman just gets a piece of it. Filled with Nationals. Span walked, Desmond singled, Harper walked. Nationals yesterday scored just 1 run. They were beaten by Kyle Kendrick. 0-2. Got him! Big strikeout with the hook.
Went with that slider again. He has the kind of stuff that he could be a real strikeout guy. Remember, he had one of his starts this year. He didn't strike anybody out because he didn't have command of those breaking pitches.
You saw it got plenty of the plate, and it was right at the knees on Foxtrack. It's where it crosses the front of the plate. That's where an umpire calls a ball or a strike. Now Eovaldi goes to work on Adam LaRoche. 13 home runs. He's driven in 41. He, unlike Harper, has the classic left-handed swing, an elegant swing. Last year, a swing that produced 100 RBIs and 33 homers. He had the enormous first half last year for the Nationals,
which was a little out of character for him. He usually gets off to really poor starts.
This year about average. Not sizzling, but not slumping. Infield has shifted over for the lefty bat, and Brantley has to go down. The count now to 2-1. The Marlins expect LaRoche to pull the ball, period. Infield over, outfield over. Opener of a 3-game set tomorrow night and Sunday afternoon. Fastball hammered over Morrison into the corner. That might score all 3. Span scores. Desmond scores. Harper is held. And it scores 2. And LaRoche, a rocket.
Over the years, Adam LaRoche has got a lot of big hits against the Marlins. That's his 100th career hit against Miami. This fastball center cut, middle of the plate, and a bullet over the head of Logan Morrison. The ball was actually hit so hard, that's why Harper wasn't able to score from first base.
But the Nationals are still set up with Harper at third, LaRoche at second, and now Worth, with that 8-game hit streak, climbs in. 61 games for Jason Worth. Tommy mentioned the hamstring issue, but he's driven in 31 and has 10 homers. Ball and a strike.
Boy, and already 25 pitches for Eovaldi.
And the breaking ball misses. And of the 26 he's thrown, Tommy, only 12 have been strikes. And that will concern a manager, a pitching coach, and an offense that has to face Steven Strasburg tonight.
And only a couple of those strikes were thrown with the slider.
Third year with the Nationals. And the Nationals, of course, paid big money
for Worth to come over from the Phils. Harper and LaRoche on. Third year of a 7-year, $126 million contract. He has yet to have a big year as a National. He struggled his first year. He was injured last year. Worth is 34 years old.
He had that huge year with the Phillies in 2009. 36 home runs, 99 RBIs. It was a well-timed year.
Two balls, two strikes. In the air. And out of play. If you're just joining us, the Nationals are here for 3. They're 6 out in the East. Actually 4 out in the wild card. The second wild card team right now is Cincinnati. Pittsburgh is the first wild card team. On a hop, Echeverria to first in time, and scoring is Harper. So Steven Strasburg, who hasn't received much run support, has got to be feeling pretty good.
Yeah, you see a guy of his quality with a 2.45 ERA, and Strasburg's 5 and 6. So you know he hasn't gotten a whole lot of runs.
Anthony Rendon. Marlin fans didn't see him in April. Rendon goes after the first pitch. In the air, towards the line. Stanton is there and makes the catch. A very uneven first inning for Nathan Eovaldi, and Washington leads at 3-0. Finch, and the Nationals open up a 3-game series, and the Nationals have jumped Nathan Eovaldi for 3 first-inning runs. Here's the Marlin lineup against Steven Strasburg tonight, and it's brought to you by JM Lexus. Justin Ruggiano, Ed Lucas, Giancarlo Stanton, Logan Morrison, Marcelo Zuna, Derek Dietrich, and Danny Echeverria, Rob Brantley, and Nathan Eovaldi.
Well, you see the numbers on Strasburg with that 5 and 6 record, but he's been solid this year. 13 of his 17 starts, 6 or more innings. Had 10 career starts against the Marlins. You see the numbers, but here at Marlins Park, in 2 starts, 1-1 with a 4.09 ERA. Quality stuff, good curveball, certainly an excellent changeup. He'll use a 2-seamer, and then he'll ride that 4-seamer up in the zone.
Strasburg has a birthday coming up on the 20th of July. At 25, Ruggiano's ready and almost gets plunked on the first pitch that misses in. Strasburg very easily could be an all-star if he had a little run support. He's 5-6. The ERA, a very nice 2.45. And he misses way outside. It's 2-0. They say that those that have followed Strasburg and seen him from day one, he's a changed man out on the mound.
And a lot of that, Rich, isn't so much his stuff, you know, his fastball, curve, or changeup. It's the way he's taken on, I guess, a little responsibility as a starting pitcher, as a teammate.
Here's the 2-1 pitch.
He used to get a little frustrated, a little flustered when teammates made errors behind him, and now he's concentrates on that. He'll applaud a guy if he makes a good play behind him.
And he won't bury a guy who boots one.
Yeah, something he did not do.
Yeah, so a very different temperament for Strasburg. He walks Justin Ruggiano to lead off the inning. Here are the Nationals. Defense has been an issue. Cleveland Clinic, Florida brings
Only the Dodgers have made more errors than the Nationals. Harper, Span, and Worth in that outfield. That's a good outfield. Zimmerman with 14 errors, a lot of those throwing errors. Desmond, Rendon up the middle. Adam LaRoche is smooth and solid at first base. And Wilson Ramos, they're happy to have him back off the DL.
Ed Lucas now. There's a strike from Strasburg. Lucas in the Braves series banged out 4 hits, had a couple of hits in the 6-2 win on Wednesday.
Right now, Strasburg looks extremely uncomfortable out there.
Both starting pitchers have looked it. And, you know, Strasburg, you look at his career whip, 1.08. It's something he does very, very well. The walks and hits per innings. A liner to right. Worth is over for it, and he's there and makes the catch. It's a good out. I mean, as bad as the defensive numbers have been, it's a pretty good outfield with Worth in right, Span, who's terrific with all of his numbers at center, and Harper in left.
Well, you think about it, Harper and Worth can play all 3 outfield spots. They have. And so they cover a lot of ground. Span, maybe not the throwing arm that the other 2 have, but he can cover a lot of territory.
Runner goes, and a huge jump and a stolen base. And for all the numbers that Strasburg has put up, that's one that has not gone his way in his career. 11 of 13 are base stealers against him this year.
And if you're not even going to look, you might as well go ahead and take it. Ruggiano with the stolen base is 12th stolen base of the year. He's 12 out of 15.
So Lucas line to right. Stanton climbs in. If you've been following the Marlins, you know for Stanton, he is slowly starting to come out of what was a week that 10-day slump. And he's done it with walks. He did it with a 2-run double on Wednesday. He walked 7 times in the 3 games against the Braves. They're sitting on a 3-0 pitch.
Stanton's had a little success against Strasburg too, 6 for 16 with a home run. And we know he's had success against the Nationals.
He's on the all-time national killers list. Breaking ball misses in. Stanton takes his walk. Strasburg, kind of a forlorn look right now as he's really searching for it.
You know, he spent a little time this year on the disabled list. He had a mild strain in the lat area, but he hasn't been able to throw that curveball over for a strike. And the command of his fastball has been so-so. It's been very similar to Eovaldi.
Now Logan Morrison, Miami has an opportunity to break back after giving up 3 first-inning runs. Morrison goes after the first pitch and fouls it back. Logan Morrison in that series against the Braves had a 2-hit night on Tuesday, did not play in the game on Wednesday.
You also wonder if the long top half of the first inning had anything to do with Strasburg. Maybe he's not loose. He's throwing 93, 94. We haven't seen anything above that.
And that's just really not Strasburg like.
Yeah.
5 strikes and 15 pitches. Eovaldi had a similar line in his first inning. The key was
And he just went with a changeup. Good one there.
the LaRoche double. The Nationals got runners on base. Eovaldi got a strikeout and looked like he was coming back around. And then LaRoche zinged one down the right field line for a 2-run double. One, 2. It's out.
So at least Morrison has seen a changeup, he's seen a curveball, and he's seen that fastball. So during the course of an AB, especially your first AB, it's nice to be able to see all 3 pitches.
Well, he sees the breaking ball again, and that misses. And as you pointed out, he's having trouble throwing it for strikes. So if you're Morrison,
You know, it's the old, you would think fastball, but if you're Lomo, you've got to be ready to react if he sees the curve.
1 out. Luciano at second, Stanton at first. And Morrison pops that fastball back and out of play. In our visit with Tino Martinez during a Marlins telecast a few days ago, he talked about Morrison getting a little too pull happy, and one of the things that he wanted Morrison to embrace in spring training and as he rehabbed was that slicing swing, that drive into the left center gap, which was a trademark of Morrison's coming up in the minor leagues. And that was also a trademark. Patient hitter who knew the strike zone. Strasburg has loaded the bases now. And here comes Marcell Ozuna. Davey Johnson looks just as perplexed as Strasburg looks.
I'm sure Steve McCaddy does too, their pitching coach. There's a great example now too in our conversations with Tino about Marcell Ozuna and his recent struggles. He was hitless in that series against Atlanta, 0 for 13. To come out of the struggle, sometimes you have to be patient, take walks, and we've seen Stanton do that. Harder to relay that message to a young hitter.
Strasburg misses away, and it's 1-0. Boy, this is an odd start to a game where Strasburg's certainly the more accomplished of the young pitchers. And both young pitchers cannot find the plate in the first inning. Ozuna lines one center field. That's well hit. That's in the gap. That's going to the wall. Ruggiano scores. Stanton scores. Here comes Lomo. And Ozuna clears the bases with a triple.
Washington Nationals, you've just been introduced to Marcell Ozuna.
The Nationals got their big hit from LaRoche. The Marlins get theirs from Ozuna, and both were just line drive seeds to the outfield.
Boy, he stays on that fastball. He did get the heat, and he sent some heat out into left center field. Nationals have never seen Ozuna except on video. He wasn't with the ball club early in the season. They know him now.
There's an awful lot that the Nationals have not seen with the Marlins. They haven't seen Ozuna. They haven't seen Derek Dietrich. Strasburg saying he's okay. Stephen McCatty, pitching coach for the Nationals, out for a visit. 3 walks, a triple. And now this is a big run. I know it's a mess of a game right now. It's 3-3 in the first. But for a young Marlin team that's improving offensively, that's an important run standing at third base. And the breaking ball misses down low.
Well, that's the 4th triple of the year for Ozuna, too.
And the Nationals are going to give the Marlins a run with a ground ball here. Dietrich takes in. Strasburg has thrown 24 pitches, 8 strikes. And Dietrich hits one into right field for a base hit. And Miami has a 4-3 lead.
And Derek Dietrich just introduced himself to the Nationals.
Brainiacs that we are, we built this as a pitcher's duel, as guys that threw 97, 98. And 7 runs have already scored in the first inning.
Well, there's a chance, Rich, that we'll see Tyler Clippard in this game.
And Strasburg goes over to first. Dietrich has 1 stolen base in his short big league career. And here's Echeverria. Echeverria on a really nice run. A 10-game hit streak. And he takes up and in. Boy, at some point you expect Strasburg to make an adjustment. Eovaldi did make an adjustment and started to throw strikes after walking Span and Harper. That's a line drive into right field. Dietrich around second, on his way to third. Echeverria with an 11-game hit streak. At the corners, 1 out.
Echeverria just continues to drive balls the other way. And the few times pitchers have come in on him, he's adjusted, and he's pulled some pitches for base hits. This is just picture perfect here by Adeiny Echeverria.
And so Brantley climbs in. Brantley getting the start against Strasburg. In his last start, he homered, and he takes a strike. And again, I know it's a mess of an inning, but for the Marlins, they've got to run 90 feet away. And Echeverria, a threat to run. That one fouled back out of play.
Brantley around the batting cages talking to him a little bit about Strasburg. He happened to recall his 2nd career home run was against Stephen Strasburg on a fastball.
Swing and a miss, and Strasburg gets a strikeout, his first of the inning. And that's a big, big strikeout because now Strasburg can end the inning by facing and getting Eovaldi.
It was back-to-back games. The Marlins have got 4 runs in the first inning. They got 4 runs Wednesday against Atlanta in the first. That was one of the few times Strasburg was able to get ahead and then get Brantley to chase that curveball. Well, we told you Eovaldi threw 32 pitches. This next one for Strasburg will be 32.
And Eovaldi has to be feeling pretty good at the plate right now. He gave up 3 runs in the first. He knew his team was facing Stephen Strasburg, and 3 runs for Strasburg has almost been an automatic win in his career. Into right field, base hit. Eovaldi has a hit. Dietrich scores.
Oh, Nate Eovaldi. His first hit of the year. His 5th career base hit. And he can smile because he just got it off Steven Strasburg and drove in a run at the same time.
But we talked about Strasburg and the steps that he's taken in terms of temperament on the mound. This certainly is a supreme test of that.
This is a test at his own temperament, not at a defensive mishap or anything like that.
He's walked 3, and he's given up 4 hits. And here's Ruggiano, who walked. And the Marlins have 5 runs here in the bottom of the first. In the dirt. Unable to throw the breaking ball for a strike. Unable to command the fastball. Look at this ball strike ratio for one of the game's best.
The most earned runs he's allowed in any game this year is 6.
I'm not sure that's happened very often. That shot right there that Steve McCatty has called the bullpen in the first inning of a Steven Strasburg start.
Yeah, if you're in the bullpen when he's starting, you kind of relax. You think you're going to be for a few innings. And there's Ross Ohlendorf, who the Marlins have seen over the years.
Ruggiano, ground ball out to short. Desmond gets the out. What a strange, weird, wild first inning. The Nationals got 3 for Strasburg, and the Marlins answer with 5. Tonight, and we're presented by H.H. Gregg. The Nationals and the Marlins, remember, tomorrow night is a Saturday spectacular. And it's also Colombian Heritage Night. Sonora Carruseles is the post-game concert. And Tom, it's presented by Avianca Airlines. Jump on the all-you-can-eat seats as well. Tickets available online at marlins.com. Marcell Ozuna had a big blow in a first inning in which Steven Strasburg allows the most runs in an inning ever in his career. Any inning.
That's pretty incredible.
Now, the question is, which young starter can straighten themselves out? I mean, Eovaldi gave up 3 runs in the first, and he opens with a pitch in the dirt. Wilson Ramos, Strasburg, and Denard Span.
I would say normally you have the number 8 hitter, but one of their hottest hitters has been Wilson Ramos lately.
Ramos fouls that pitch back. Ramos, the 25-year-old Venezuelan, coming back from a torn ACL last year and then injured himself this year.
It's a good pair of catchers. I remember early in the year they were just kind of every other game with Kurt Suzuki and Wilson Ramos.
That one's pop foul and back. And it almost landed in the hands of the Marlins' first-round pick, Colin Moran. He's got to make that play, Tommy Hutton.
Yeah, I think his dad called him off, though. Now he's sitting there with his parents, and I think his dad called him off.
Evaldi with a pitch in the dirt. That's right. The Marlins have signed Colin Moran. There's Moran.
There he is.
In the green shirt.
His
There's
mother and father next to him.
They are from New York natives, and they also have a son that's pitching at AAA in the Seattle organization. Now, he's known for his bat, Tommy, but the Marlins are happy to have him in the family.
Well, not a good way for Evaldi to start.
Craig will have a chance to talk with him a little bit later in the show. And Evaldi walks Ramos. You're right. Here is Strasburg now. Accomplished with the bat is Strasburg. Silver Slugger last year, just trying to bunt here. And he fouls it off. Eight runs already. 6 hits. Evaldi has walked 3. Strasburg has walked 3. This is tailor-made for one of those Snickers commercials. You're going to be here a while.
Could be here a while. Give me enough time, actually, to look up Brian Moran. And Colin Moran's brother, older brother, 25. His career minor league numbers, last couple of years, he's been in Tacoma in AAA, pitched out of the bullpen, but in his career, he's 18 and 15 with a nice 2.91 ERA.
Here's the 1-2. Drops down the bunt. Brantley pounces, looked at second, goes to first. Brantley with the runner crossing in front of him after the bunt. And Strasburg had cleared before Brantley got there.
Yeah, he had to deal with the runner. The bat was there. You saw the bat out in front of the plate. And really his only play was to first base. Good jump by Ramos.
And now the Nationals will try to score this run. Denard Span, who walked back in the first. Who's going to homer first, Tommy? Which ex-Twin center fielder is going to homer first this year? They're both playing in the National League East. Is it Ben Revere or is it Denard Span?
I'm going to go with Ben Revere, only because of the ballpark he plays in.
Well, Ben Revere's never homered, right?
Yeah, but he's got more of a chance at Citizens Bank.
Span hit 4.
Span's hit some.
He hit 4 last year. But I'm with you on the ballpark. Because when we first saw Revere this year,
he might walk into one at Citizens Bank.
We both said this is the year for Ben Revere.
He's getting to pick up the power with Ryan Howard on the DL.
Boy, this has been a mess of a start for both guys. Eovaldi gives up a fly ball to center. Ozuna makes the catch. And now you got Ian Desmond with 2 outs. So Desmond finished 4th in the final vote, Tommy Hutton. And Freddie Freeman, hugs and all, was able to edge out Yasiel Puig. Steve Delabar of the Toronto Blue Jays won the final vote in the American League, and that, I guess, coalition of Braves and Blue Jay voters are to be commended.
A little slider. Nice to see Eovaldi in this inning. If he shows and can get a couple of those secondary pitches in for strikes, then it changes the approach of the National hitters.
Desmond was an all-star last year, and as we pointed out, has the numbers to be there this year.
I'm not sure of the status yet of Troy Tulowitzki. I think he was supposed to try to play some games this weekend with the Rockies. And you never know. If he's not able to go, maybe Desmond would be named to the team.
That always happens. An injury the week leading into the All-Star break. In fact, Desmond was injured last year, didn't play in the game. He had an oblique, was named to the team.
Yu Darvish has had to step out because of an injury, and the 13-game winner, who probably should have been there anyway, Matt Moore of the Rays, is now on the All-Star team.
You're right, deservedly so. Well, there's Ramos standing at second. Eovaldi trying to get through the second. And a swing and a miss. Desmond goes after the slider and strikes out. So one step forward for Nathan Eovaldi. It's 5-3 Miami. The Midsummer Classic returns to New York. Home field advantage for the World Series on the line. The 2013 Major League Baseball All-Star Game live from New York, July 16th on Fox. Jose Fernandez will be there for the Fish.
Yeah, nice little presentation before the game, receiving his All-Star jersey. What a thrill.
Eovaldi seems to have made an adjustment. We'll see now if Strasburg can follow. This is one of those games that if you're around the league watching scores, or even if you're at home somewhere else with your MLB at-bat scoreboard up,
and you see 5-3 after one, you're thinking to yourself, all right, who's pitching in this one? And the last guy you would pick for the Nationals is this man. Good breaking ball there.
Well, they feel really good about their top three in Strasburg and Jordan Zimmermann and Gio Gonzalez.
Look at that on the road, how dominant he's been. Anytime you're leading George Culver on a list, Tommy, percentage of starts on the road where he allows 1 earned run or less. Hoyt Wilhelm
And Vance Worley.
Yeah, that's right. Who would have known that Julius Chassin and Vance Worley would make that list?
I played with George Culver.
Did you really?
He was a reliever by then. But the top three in Gio, in Strasburg, and Jordan Zimmermann, they're all in the top 15 in ERA in the National League.
Well, Strasburg's been good on the road and at home, and he's made 17 starts. In 13 of those starts, he's allowed 2 earned runs or less. The 2-2, which makes this outing such a blip on the radar.
He would never make this excuse, I'm sure. But in talking with Steve McCatty, his pitching coach, before the game, told me an interesting story because the Nationals got in about 3, and I would imagine probably had hit the pillow around 4 o'clock for most of them. And I asked Steve McCatty, I said, did Strasburg fly in early? A lot of times pitchers are given that opportunity. And he was given that opportunity. He said, no, I want to fly with my team. I want to go in with the team.
Strasburg misses away, and so the Marlins open up the second with a leadoff walk. 4 walks from Strasburg. You saw Ross Ohlendorf up in the first inning. That's one of the big differences between the 2 starts so far from Eovaldi and Strasburg. The Nationals actually had someone up for Strasburg. Eovaldi gave up just 3 runs in the first and did not give up a run in the top of this inning. And here is Stanton. Takes a fastball for a strike. Stanton walked and scored.
Each half inning has started with a walk.
Well, it's a pretty good fastball that Stanton let go there. And it's 0-2. No balls and 2 strikes to the Marlins right fielder. The Nationals a terrific year last year, of course. 98 wins and a 6-0 lead in Game 5 of the National League Division Series. The clinching game at home. And all they had to do was get to the finish line, and they were headed to the National League Championship Series. But little by little, the Cardinals came back. Daniel Descalso and Pete Kozma had the big hits. And it was St. Louis that advanced.
Yeah, it's one thing if Yadier Molina and Matt Holliday were getting the big hits. I think it's one of the reasons Davey Johnson came back. And he has said this is going to be his last year. But he saw some unfinished business.
Well, if anybody knows that a postseason series isn't over until the last out, Davey Johnson would know. I mean, he was there with the ultimate with
championship
the
series against
86
the Astros.
Mets,
and then the championship series against the Astros was incredible.
Is that right?
Yeah.
You're right. Lucas is running. Stanton drills one. Right field deep. Get out of here in a hurry. Guess who's back?
Oh, yeah. We've been talking about him driving the ball to right center. He watched video with Tino Martinez The home run he hit against Heath Bell in Arizona was to right center. And right, Rich, he's back.
My goodness. 7-3 Miami. And Strasburg looks stunned. Here's Morrison. There's still nobody out.
Giancarlo Stanton now 7 for 17 with 2 home runs against Strasburg. Remember, he had him 0-2. It took to a 3-2 count. Fastball, he just lasers it into the Marlins bullpen.
Stanton's 9th. And the national killer is at it again. What a great look. Change up for a strike. And Ross Ohlendorf is back up in the bullpen.
Yeah, it's Stanton's 15th home run in his career against the Nationals.
Fastball in. It's 2-2. Well, Strasburg hasn't. That was a very nice changeup he threw to Morrison, but he hasn't thrown it much at all tonight. He hasn't commanded the breaking ball. And he throws that there. It's 2-2. Strasburg, career against the Marlins. This is already his 11th start. He's 5-2. And he strikes out Morrison on a rising 96-mile-an-hour fastball. So an out here in the second. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Miami Marlins, may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins. Marcell Ozuna. This game is an hour old. And here we are in the bottom of the second. Ozuna, a key hit in the first. After Strasburg had walked the bases loaded, Ozuna punched a bases clearing triple into the gap in left center.
I told you how Strasburg's ERA in 2 starts here at Marlins Park over 4. He's allowed 7 runs in a game one other time. And it was here last August 28th. So his 2 high runs that he's allowed in a game have both been against the Marlins in this ballpark.
And Nathan Eovaldi looking up at the scoreboard, hoping that he can stay locked in. He had a messy first, worked a scoreless second. Ozuna has seen nothing but breaking balls here in this second at bat. Fastball fouled back out of play.
I know the home runs are down, just 3, and he will hit home runs at this level, but 17 doubles and 4 triples now for Ozuna.
Remember the first year that Logan Morrison had in the big leagues?
We were saying the same thing about the home runs.
Right. And then the next year he was up in the 20s. Dietrich on deck. Full count to Ozuna. Got a fastball, and he dribbles it out to Desmond, who just gets Ozuna by half a step. So after the Stanton home run, Strasburg has a couple of outs. Derek Dietrich to the plate.
Yeah, Logan Morrison, when he came up in 2010, hit 283, 20 doubles, 7 triples, but just 2 home runs, and then came back and in 2011 hit 23.
To get 11 outs, these 2 young pitchers have thrown 114 pitches combined. That's not good, Tom.
It's not what we expected.
No. Dietrich clubs one to left. Span over into the gap is there, and he makes the catch. The Marlins get 2 more. You want to say a big fly, but it wasn't. It was a scorching liner. Giancarlo Stanton. Moran, the Marlins' first-round pick out of North Carolina, signing and arriving here. And the Marlins have a 7-3 lead over the Nationals. And Moran is down below with Craig Minervini.
Rich, thank you very much. An exciting day. Collins' family is here, and I know very exciting for you to get this done. Was it nerve-wracking to get the deal done right down to the deadline?
Yeah, it was a little nerve-wracking towards the end. I was getting kind of anxious, but like you said, I'm really excited just to get started and kind of know where you're going.
Sure, and Larry Beinfest today said, hey, since the Marlins had Mike Lowell, they really haven't had an answer at the third base position. That must have sounded pretty nice to you. At least the asphalt is being paved a little bit, and the opportunity is there, and the Marlins would like you to be their third baseman.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice. It's always nice having people behind you, and that was really good to hear. And I'm looking forward to just getting started and starting playing some baseball.
Yeah, you had a long college season. You went to the College World Series. You had a big year. How important was this year for you in terms you knocked in over 90 from a confidence standpoint to be such a high pick and hopefully a tremendous major league career ahead?
Yeah, this year was big. I mean, just all 3 years in North Carolina were huge in my development. Can't thank them enough for all that they did. And I was thinking about it the other day. I was like coming out of high school as a 17-year-old. I don't know if I really would have made it. In the professional ranks. So those 3 years were huge.
The crazy thing now is you go from a Tar Heel to Greensboro country because that's where you're going to start your career. But there are some Tar Heel fans, I would think, in Greensboro as well, right?
Yeah, I hope so. But yeah.
How about staying in North Carolina?
Yeah, it's nice. It's only about an hour away from Chapel Hill where I went to school. So like you said, it's easy, kind of familiar area. So we played the ACC tournament in 2012,
yeah.
So familiar with the ballpark.
Good for you. You'll be familiar with this park tomorrow. You get to take batting practice You've taken batting practice a million times in your career. Scouts have been watching. Tomorrow will be a little different for you. Will it be fun? Nerve-wracking or what?
Yeah, definitely be a little different with the uniform on it. I guess I think I'm going to. But it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to just being around the guys on the team, the coaches obviously, and just kind of what it's going to be like.
A lot of players from college play in the wood bat leagues in the summer, whether they're in the Cape or somewhere else. Did you get a chance to do that? And what kind of transition is that for you to go from the aluminum to the wood bat?
It was fun. I did play 2 years at the Cape Cod League with the Bourne Braves. I had a blast. Those were two of my favorite summers of my life. So that league's just a really fun time. They play the best competition, so you kind of test yourself a little bit. So you get a good idea of what pro ball is going to be like, I would think.
Yeah, we saw some great play there by Echeverria. We heard the roar from the crowd. Hopefully not too long away, you'll be cheering for you here. I know you're looking forward to that day.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to it. Like you said, just really excited.
Thanks, Colin. All right, Colin Moran will start with Greensboro there in single A. And who knows? Maybe we'll see him pretty soon here in a Marlins uniform, not too far away. First round pick is in the books, guys. Back to you.
Has been added to the list of Marlin prospects in the minor leagues. What a play by Adeiny Echeverria.
Boy, that's tremendous. I mean, he knocked this ball down. It was hit hard. He didn't panic. He picked it up with the bare hand and had plenty of time to get Zimmerman. Wow.
As disoriented as he looked, to spin and throw and hit Morrison right in the numbers.
Hey, by the way, I'm just thinking with Colin Moran going to Greensboro, we'll send our super scout to get some good information on the young left-handed hitting third baseman, because I know he's feeling better. Jack McKeon.
That's Jack, neck of the woods. Ozuna got turned around and then somehow makes the catch. Oh my goodness. Ozuna, that looked like dizzy bat where you spin around and fall over. Luckily for Ozuna, it landed in his glove. Against Steven Strasburg, but at the bottom of the first, Strasburg couldn't find the plate. He walked the bags loaded, and with one out, Marcell Ozuna drilled one and drove in three. Derek Dietrich into right field. The Marlins had their fourth run. Strasburg would then get another out, and Nathan Eovaldi would single. 5 first-inning runs for the Fish. And for Steven Strasburg, the most runs he's given up in an inning in his career. Ozuna with a big hit and a acrobatic catch, and there's no more Steven Strasburg. We've seen him up in the bullpen a couple times. Ross Ohlendorf into the game.
And also Strasburg tying the most runs he'd ever given up in a game. Ohlendorf will give you that old-time windup that you used to see on the black and white reels. 1950s. There it is. That big windup.
Off the end of the bat and a running catch by Rendon. Robs Zdeno Echeverria of a hit. Rendon, a natural third baseman, has made the shift to second successfully.
Yeah, they are extremely pleased at the way Anthony Rendon has played, and they feel comfortable playing him at third, and even in an emergency, he can play short.
And so Steven Strasburg lasts just 2 innings. And Ohlendorf misses down low. Ohlendorf, most of his big league time with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Liner into center field. Span is on. It lands in front. Brantley's got a hit. A 1-out single.
Good swing by Rob Brantley, coming off a nice game against the Braves at that big 3-run homer.
Ohlendorf, part of last season with the Padres, 13 games. Did not have a good year. His ERA was up in the high 7s. Of course, he's from Princeton, and a former Padre pitcher from Princeton, Chris Young, was once asked, since he went to Princeton, if he was the smartest man in baseball, and he said, no, Ohlendorf's way smarter than I am.
But if you go to Princeton, or Dartmouth, if we talk about Ed Lucas, you have to go to class, though. You can't slide by.
The funny thing was, Ohlendorf could have gone to Texas. His father worked at Texas, and the Longhorns recruited him. Baldy trying to bunt, but he ended up at Princeton, and he had a 3.75 GPA. His majors were operations research and financial engineering. Reportedly, Tommy, he missed one question on the math portion of his SAT. That's a fair ball. And the throw down to second in time to get an out there. Eovaldi runs well, and he scampers down the line. Wasn't fair by much, but it was fair. The first half in the series finish on Sunday. Marlins and Nationals at 1:10. Pick up the Pepsi 4 for $54 pack. First 5,000 kids get a Giancarlo Stanton wall cling, courtesy of Cholula Hot Sauce. And all kids can run the bases after the game in the Diamond Dash. Go to Marlins.com for tickets. Here's Ruggiano.
Wasn't Ohlendorf, it was either Ohlendorf or Chris Young, did an internship in Washington, D.C. in the Department of Agriculture.
It is Ohlendorf.
I think it was Ohlendorf, yeah.
The Secretary of Agriculture at the time was a Pirates fan. So I think that helped.
family owns a huge cattle farm. Although, you know, we ought to slow down on the Ollendorf bio because we're going to be here a while.
They may stretch him out. He may be out there a while.
So let's go with like one little nugget every 5-10 minutes.
Plus, the Marlins have a lot of more games left against the Nationals. Coming into this game, they'd only played the Nationals 6 times.
All right, well, let's finish with the fact that he had the internship in the Department of Agriculture, and we'll leave it at there.
We'll leave it there.
To be continued. Ruggiano had 2 at-bats in the first inning, the 2-2. Up and in. Ed Lucas waits on deck. With Eovaldi on the move on the 3-2 pitch, that one's fouled off. And Wilson Ramos, who's been banged up.
Well, it's amazing. Here we are in the 3rd inning, and this is the 3rd at bat for Justin Ruggiano.
You know, I'll bet you it's similar to the reply when the New York press asked Jose Fernandez if he would be afraid of facing David Wright. Fernandez, a very heartfelt, not really after all that I've faced. A foul tip isn't going to scare Wilson Ramos. Remember, he was kidnapped.
He was kidnapped at gunpoint
in his native Venezuela. Ruggiano jumps on that one.
By the way, while Ramos was on the disabled list, we talked about him missing quite a few games with a hamstring pull. For a little bit of that time, the Nationals had Jonathan Solano, Donovan's brother, was up with the club. But when Ramos came back, Donovan's brother, Jonathan, was sent back to AAA.
And are you giving me that because it's Colombian Heritage Night? Or is that tomorrow night?
I think that's tomorrow.
Well, there we go. It's a great promotion.
Yeah, it's tomorrow. And now we have...
This is the Ivy League matchup we've been waiting for, Tommy. There's Princeton. And there's Dartmouth. Two outs. You know, these guys are about the same age, Tommy. So they may have faced each other in college.
Well, it's a homework assignment.
I mean, Lucas is 31. Ollendorf is 31.
Oh, they had to. They had to. It's got to be kind of special for Ed Lucas. You think what's going through his mind all those years, 10 years in the minor leagues. A lot of his friends who went to Dartmouth, establishing themselves, I'm sure, in the business world.
Lucas hits a fly ball, fouling out of play.
He gets to the big leagues, and he gets to face a guy that we're going to assume, that's always bad to do, we're going to assume that they did face each other in college.
Well, you know, all his friends were in high-paying jobs right away out of college. Lucas had student loans to pay off.
He's riding buses.
Trying to do that in the minor leagues on a minor league salary.
He's seeing Ross Ollendorf in the major leagues with Pittsburgh.
Lucas with a sharp ground ball and an out at second base. We've got a note on that matchup between Ollendorf and Lucas. When we return at 7-3 Marlins.
Here at Marlins Park tonight, a view from down the right field line. The unlikeliest of scores with a Nathan Eovaldi, Steven Strasburg start. Eovaldi gave up 3 runs right out of the chute. Strasburg had been so good without run support this year, and the Marlins chased him after 2 innings and lead it 7-3. Jason Worth comes up. Anthony Rendon and Wilson Ramos will follow. So our crack staff has found not only did they play against each other, but they were also named to the Diamond Ivies, the all-time Ivy League first team selections. Ed Lucas and Ross Ollendorf.
Ed Lucas, a terrific career in the Ivy League. A little breaking ball in for a strike. That's good to see. Had a 1-2-3 inning. Nate Eovaldi did in the 3rd.
To right. Now that catch is a little easier than the last one that Ozuna made.
Yeah, that one that Ozuna made that ended the 3rd inning was one of those sinking, knuckling type liners that you go back on because it's hit hard, and then all of a sudden you realize you went back a little too far. But there were a couple of nice defensive plays last inning.
AT&T U versus Twitter poll. Are you happy with the National League final vote outcome? Hashtag ASG happy. Hashtag ASG, and I didn't get the last. There you go. Thank you. Sad.
Sad.
Here's Rendon. And this right-handed bat takes outside, and he has a good right-handed bat. 23-year-old out of Houston. Rice University product, and the 6th overall pick of the 2011 draft. Shoots a ground ball out Dietrich's way. We asked the question, Tommy, after the 1st inning, which young starter would straighten out and get it together, and it's been Eovaldi.
Yeah, who would have thought? Of course, Strasburg, as we pointed out, 24. He's going to be 25 in about a week, but it seems like we've talked so much about Steven Strasburg over the years that you almost feel he's older, but no, he's not. And Nate Eovaldi's just 23. And Eovaldi has straightened it out. He's thrown a few more breaking balls for strikes. He's commanded the fastball better. And all of a sudden, he's retired 8 in a row.
Wilson Ramos, the last man to reach. South Florida Honda dealers present Marlins live at 12:30 on Sunday. Tomorrow night's game, remember, is on Big Fox. Eovaldi stuck his hand out, and it not only clipped his hand, but it may have prevented Echeverria from making a play.
The fear there is that you get it clipped on a finger. If you have the hands stretched out and hits the palm, then he should be okay. But it's always a reaction play. It's easy to say with the angle we have, if that ball goes through, Echeverria catches it, but most pitchers are going to react and try to make the play.
Mike Redmond out to check. And Eovaldi will test drive the hand. Jerry Lane out to supervise.
Mike Kozak to check on the pitcher.
Mike Kozak and Sean Cunningham both have represented the Marlins in the All-Star game. So they have been a nice source of knowledge for Jose Fernandez. One of the nice things to watch about Mike Redmond talking to umpires, he has relationships with all of them. Having been a catcher in the big leagues for as long as
and having been a catcher recently in the big leagues, yeah. Oh, they've all been behind him at one time or another, with exception of a few of the young guys. few of the young umpires.
So Ramos gets an infield hit. And now here's Ohlendorf again.
He's telling Jerry Lane, I think I could read his lips. He's saying, you know, I only missed one question on the math, the SATs.
He does have a career home run.
He's in that rotation with Paul Maholm, who we just saw. You know, guys who threw okay, but just were on some poor Pirate clubs that just didn't score a lot.
Zach Duke.
Yeah.
Oliver Perez for a while, right?
Yeah. Pirates leading, or no, the Pirates and the Mets are tied 2-2 in the 7th inning in Pittsburgh.
Well, if you Google Ohlendorf, Lucas, Princeton, Dartmouth, there's a bunch of box scores that pop up where the two have faced each other. In the mid-2000s, and swing and a miss there. Evaldi, country fastball right there. 7-3 Marlins. Baseball on Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by Honda. Visit your Honda dealer for great lease and finance deals on fuel-efficient Hondas. By Coventry Healthcare of Florida, lighting the way to better health. And by Metro PCS, unlimited 4G data, talk, and text on Metro PCS, wireless for all. In Miami tonight, this is a real odd one in the bottom of the 4th. Miami is up 7-3. Steven Strasburg, just 2 innings, and the Marlins put 7 runs on the board. Nathan Eovaldi gave up 3 in the 1st inning, but he has straightened out and right now holds that 4-run lead. And right-hander Ross Ohlendorf, who's banged around a bit since he was in that Pirates rotation, will get a shot. And Giancarlo Stanton, Logan Morrison, and Marcell Ozuna.
Well, you know, you really admire. I mean, I'm sitting here admiring guys like Ohlendorf and Ed Lucas, who could be on the road doing other things, successful things, but they love to compete. They love this game of baseball, and the competition is what keeps them going.
For Ohlendorf, it really must be a blast from the past, because here's a guy that's been in the big leagues a long time. And he knows Ed Lucas. He faced him in college. They were both all Ivy in 2004. And I'm sure Ohlendorf kept track, saw that Lucas was still in the minor leagues, And then all of a sudden, 10 years after he's been in the minor leagues, Lucas surfaces here in Miami, and now Ohlendorf has faced him. Stanton swings and misses. Giancarlo Stanton launched a seed to right off of Strasburg in the second. They got out of here in a hurry.
Stanton has reached base 7 of his last 8 plate appearances.
Here's the shot.
Yeah, if you remember, the count at one point was 0-2. That was a 3-2 fastball.
Two. Two and two. And Ohlendorf misses down low. And Stanton swings and misses at a breaking ball. So Ross Ohlendorf strikes out Giancarlo Stanton. First strikeout for Ohlendorf. Logan Morrison and Marcell Ozuna. This ball game is a long ways from being done. It's the bottom of the fourth. I know this is a Nationals team that hasn't scored a ton of runs this year, surprisingly, but they still have up and down their lineup guys that are dangerous, guys that can produce. Morrison off the glove of Ohlendorf. Rendon. Wow, nice play. And that's what we mean by a guy that has made the transition from third to second.
Well, you know he has the strength in his throwing arm. This takes a tricky pop. He just picks it and then turns and fires over to first. The thing about the Nationals, Rich, in talking to our good friends Bob Carpenter and FP Santangelo, who do the National telecast, their run total is you don't get the whole picture, because they've had games where they'll score 8 or 9 runs and they score 1 or 2 runs a couple of days. They haven't had a whole lot of 5-6 run games. It's either all or nothing.
Ozuna's third at bat, 3-run triple, a bouncer to short. And Ohlendorf right now, yeah, I mean, you could tell Ohlendorf a different pitcher than when we saw him 4 or 5 years ago. He certainly wasn't overpowering then, but now he's doesn't have a whole lot on his fastball. He's kind of incorporated the odd windup, the double pump. Who was the Angels reliever that had the double pump? Was it Donnelly? Was it Brandon Donnelly?
Who was a Marlin for a while. Boy, you're right. I can picture somebody. I'm not sure if it was him, though.
Swing and a miss, and Ohlendorf strikes him out. 7-3 Fish back after this sports injury prevention message from the Cleveland Clinic, Florida.
Sentado en SAP por Coventry Healthcare of Florida.
In Miami tonight, the Nationals have arrived for a 3-game set. They had Steven Strasburg on the mound. They got 3 runs against that man, Nathan Eovaldi, right out of the chute. And look at this, 7-3. Miami on top. Into the 5th goes Nathan Eovaldi. Eovaldi has held it together. Steven Strasburg is long gone.
I'll tell you what, Rich, Nate Eovaldi has the chance to get 6 innings in this game. And after 32 pitches in the first inning, I don't think any of us thought that would happen. Got to get through the 5th first, though.
Broken bat, Looper, Dietrich on it, makes the catch.
1 pitch, 1 out will help.
That was Denard Span. Ian Desmond, Bryce Harper also scheduled to appear. Just for Men Auto Stop foolproof stat. Adam LaRoche, first half, second half. We're talking about his splits. And for LaRoche, last year was a big first half, which helped those numbers. And if the Nationals get the usual Adam LaRoche second half, then that'll be a nice shot in the arm for Davey Johnson and the Nats. The Natitude has taken a bit of an adjustment.
It's taken a hit.
2 games over. However, if you stop and go back to last year, a lot of the teams that made the postseason were kind of at this spot. You think about Oakland last year, San Francisco last year.
Well, there are a couple of teams. I don't think the Nationals have really peaked and played as well as they can. I don't think Cincinnati has gotten to a point where they can get.
The Braves had that great September run to get there.
And right now, the Dodgers, one of the, if not the hottest team in baseball. They've won 5 in a row. And the Dodgers come into play tonight just a game and a half behind Arizona. But you're going to have to win that division. I don't think you're going to come out of that division. You're going to see a wild card out of the National League West.
Yeah, right now both wild cards are sitting in the Central. Cholula, hot sauce, spotlight player, Sarasota, Florida, right out of Sarasota High School. And last year was a big year, a breakout year, an all-star year. We've seen Ian Desmond grow up before our eyes, and he has turned into a very good Major League shortstop. Brantley better hurry, and he does, and just gets him. He stuck the landing. It wasn't pretty, but the result was an out.
Well, that's a nice play, and the only person who could make that play was Rob Brantley. It wasn't far enough to the pitcher. He's got his momentum going to first, picks and fires and face plants and lands, but all that doesn't matter. He got the out. Good play by Brantley.
Desmond tried to sell the safe call. It was bang bang, but in that super slow-mo look, just got him.
Couldn't sell it to Hunter Wendelstedt.
Bryce Harper takes a breaking ball.
See that curveball? We didn't see that the first couple of innings. We saw a few sliders that Eovaldi tried to throw and threw a couple of those pretty well. There's about a 20-mile-an-hour differential between the curveball and the fastball.
A ball and a strike to Bryce Harper. Tonight's Cold Hard Fact brought to you by Frostbrewed Coors Light. 31 and 24 with Harper in the lineup. 16 and 21 without him in the lineup. Harper to right. Stanton is waiting. And Nathan Eovaldi, after the 3 runs in the first inning, a 10-pitch inning, 7-3 lead Miami. You can take advantage of private group happy hours at the Clevelander as part of bringing your group to a game at Marlins Park, or enjoy the view from the Budweiser balcony, or entertain your guests in one of the first-class suites with inclusive food and beverages. Customize your next hospitality event. Go to marlins.com/groups today. Halfway through a strange game with the Marlins up 7-3, Dietrich swings and misses. And it's 0-1. You don't like to make excuses, and you never want to speculate. But in watching Steven Strasburg out there, it almost looked like he didn't feel well.
Well, we talked about the late arrival. Maybe didn't get much sleep. You try to when you get in late, go to bed at 4 or so. You know how that is. You try your best. And I'm sure Davey Johnson and his club, they're not going to make that as an excuse. But you're right. He just didn't look right out there, Strasburg.
Now, that doesn't diminish what the Marlins did in putting 7 runs on the board.
They had some good at-bats against him.
Absolutely.
There was a time in April and May with a start like that a lot of the Marlin hitters would be swinging at some of those pitches that were out of the zone.
And you know what? April and May, Strasburg might still be out there because the Marlins may have been hacking. And you're right. He might have been able to battle through it. High pop-up. Ramos makes the catch. And Dietrich is out number 1 here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Sunday, 12:30 for Marlins Live. Driven by your South Florida Honda dealer. Tomorrow night, Big Fox, Dick Stockton, and F.P. Santangelo. Former Hurricane will have the call.
And you'll get to see Jose Fernandez. And the veteran right-hander Dan Herron pitching for the Nats. Sunday, we'll get to see for the first time Taylor Jordan, right-hander.
Jordan is a Florida native.
Yeah, Jordan and Kevin Slowey.
I want to say Merritt Island.
Up in Clint Hurdle territory.
That's right. Line smash. Zimmerman got it before it hit the ground. Echeverria has hit the ball hard all 3 times up. There's Bob Carpenter on the right, one of the real good guys in the game, a very talented play-by-play man himself, and F.P. Santangelo.
Yeah, FP, I remember the first time we saw them last year, told me all the games he used to come at the Orange Bowl right here on this site. Of course, when he was at Miami. I mean, thinking about it, Rich, he may have watched some of Allison Williams' student broadcasts on campus.
I don't know that they're from the same era.
And I don't know if that's as compelling as the Dartmouth-Princeton matchup.
Brantley takes down low. One and two. Brantley with a base hit his last time up.
93, Ohlendorf still has a little left. He tries to finesse, but then every once in a while will go up with that fastball in the zone.
No swing, says Mike Estabrook.
Boy, a couple of key players went down last night in baseball with hamstring injuries. Matt Holliday of the Cardinals and Jason Hayward, who was just in town here with the Braves.
Fly ball towards the line. Harper is over, and the gentleman with the cap tried to make the catch there.
I think the good news for those teams is that with the All-Star break coming up, if those players don't play this weekend, you get the 4 days. You're looking at a week of recovery time to at least determine how they're going to advance.
You know, just looking at the Braves Reds box score tonight, B.J. Upton has come out of the ball game. It's the 5th inning. The Reds have a 3-0 lead over the Braves in Atlanta. Brantley hanging in there. 3-2 coming. Pulls it on the ground. LaRoche, a Gold Glover, steps on the bag, and the Marlins are done in order. Ross Ohlendorf has been solid. The 6th. Let's check in with Craig Minervini.
Rich, it's time for the annual Marlins Wives Tackle Box Auction, which will be tomorrow when you come out to the ballpark at 5:30. And with me is Marissa Cishek. We're going to talk to some of the other wives too. But this is kind of a fun one you guys have done over recent years. Tell us about what's involved and how we can raise some money in a unique way.
Well, we fill up a tackle box with some of our husband's favorite things. So some of their hobbies, favorite movies, games, toys, if you're Steve. And people can come out and bid on it. There's a lot of great stuff in there, like experiences, you know, a photo opportunity or a pitching lesson or something like that. And people can come bid as high as they want and make some money for a great cause.
Yeah, there's autographed items. I was talking with Juan Pierre's wife, Liz, who said among those things they'll have a CD, a Fizzle, which is his favorite CD, Juan's, Christian rap singer. What about Steve Cishek, aside from the autograph type things? I think everybody's interested in the personal items. What does he have? Like you said, toys. Is it like one of his Connect 4 games or something?
No, he has a couple Ninja Turtles items in there. He's a big Ninja Turtles fan.
Ninja Turtles?
Loves the Ninja Turtles. Donatello is his favorite.
And what else is there?
There's a Nerf gun in there. And
Nerf gun, okay. My kids like that one too.
What else did we put in there? Oh, Batman items.
Batman items, always big. All right, let's go to Kim Dunn and Courtney Jennings. Kim Dunn, the wife of Mike Dunn, and Dan Jennings' wife, Courtney. What are the personal items that Mike Dunn has in his tackle box that people can bid on tomorrow?
I have a couple of his favorite food items. So I have double stuffed Oreos and original Pringles, and then huge golf fanatic. So we have an autographed golf ball and some Marlins golf ball.
He looks to be in too good a shape to go for the double Oreos.
Oh no, all about the double stuffed Oreos. Do not mess with his Oreos.
Courtney Jennings, what's in Dan Jennings' tackle box?
Well, we don't have as many food items. Dan's more into the candy side of things, so we have a few of his favorite candies along with his favorite movie.
Like what? Like a Sour Patch Kids or something?
Oh, you got it on the nose. How'd you know that one?
It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, that's one of his favorites. So he has that in there, and then a few signed items that he has as well. So some paracletes and some other game use stuff.
So again, it's tomorrow, 5:30 through the game. It's a fun kind of thing. And have you heard heard of any unusual around the team? Any different items from some of your colleagues? No.
Haven't
You're
heard
not comparing.
anything this year.
You call each other.
No, everyone's just kind of getting a hint of what everyone else is putting in, but we haven't really heard too much from too many people. So hopefully some fun stuff.
All right, we'll see. By the way, we had a shot of Cishek there at one of the games, and behind his locker he had several board games like Sorry and Game Connect. Does he play board games a lot at home?
Yes, actually, when we made our wedding registry, he added mostly board games and things like that. So, yes. Yeah.
Exciting guy. I like them too. All right, let's go back to you guys. Remember tomorrow, the Tackle Box auction. It's back to you.
Thank you, Craig. This is a deep drive to right. Stanton at the wall makes a leaping catch. A prolonged at bat by Ryan Zimmerman ends in Giancarlo Stanton's glove at the wall in right field.
Well, we've seen Zimmerman go in that direction. We know he has power to hit one out the opposite field. It was high enough that Giancarlo was able to get back there and know exactly where he was in comparison to the wall. He was able to make that leap. Good concentration. Well done by G.
Adam LaRoche, he had a big hit in the first inning, a 2-run double. At the time, I'm sure a lot of people thought that's enough for Strasburg. Those first 2 runs. Jason Worth would drive in another with a ground ball. And it was 3-0 Nationals. The Marlins came back, scored 5 times in the first against Strasburg, 2 more times in the second on a Stanton home run. And here is Eovaldi at 92 pitches. Trying to nail down 3 outs in the 6th, and he strikes out LaRoche.
Boy, and he is, too. I mean, 32 pitches in that first inning. Before that at bat to LaRoche, he'd thrown 57 pitches in the next 4 1/3 innings. Hard slider, ran it in. LaRoche couldn't hold back. Just a good pitch.
That's a pitch that if he can throw consistently with the fastball velocity that he's got, Eovaldi misses outside to Worth.
Boy, it's a great learning experience for a 23-year-old pitcher, Nathan Eovaldi, dude. To struggle in that first inning, obviously the 5 runs his club gave him in the bottom half helped, but to see him come back the way he has.
And Eovaldi had a hand in that. He drove in the 5th run with a single to finish the scoring up. Trio pitch. Couple of strikes, and the count goes to 3-2. Down low, Worth walks. We were talking about B.J. Upton. You noted that Jason Hayward came out with a hamstring injury last night. B.J. Upton left in the first inning with a right adductor muscle strain after falling hard while diving for a line drive.
And right now the Reds have a 4-0 lead in the 5th inning against Atlanta.
He was able to walk off the field under his own power.
4 innings for Chris Medlin. He's given up 9 hits and 4 runs.
Center field, Ozuna there.
And he reaches up and makes that catch. What a night for Nathan Eovaldi. A rough first and then 5 sweet innings after that. In Miami tonight, a wild ride for the Nationals and the Marlins. The Nationals racing to a 3-0 start in the first, and then the Marlins knocking Steven Strasburg out of the game in 2 innings. And that's where these two teams have been since. Nathan Eovaldi, who threw a whopping 32 pitches in the first inning, survives and then reels off 5 scoreless to get through 6.
You're talking about that curveball with Chuck Hernandez. If you go back to last year now, all of a sudden that's 8 consecutive starts for Nathan Eovaldi where he's gone 6 or more innings. All of his starts this year, all 5 this year.
Juan Pierre hitting for Eovaldi. Luciano and Lucas will follow. Ross Ohlendorf has come in for Strasburg. And Ohlendorf is into his 4th inning. Somebody can really whistle. Worth. And he gets there. Nice running catch. Remember last week we had the cricket by the crowd mic?
Yeah, now we have a whistler. The ball was hit pretty well by JP, but took a good running play by a very good outfielder, Jason Worth.
Ryan Webb in Miami's bullpen.
After the first inning for Nathan Eovaldi, he allowed just 1 more hit. That was that infield base hit that went off his hand by Wilson Ramos.
We've been talking about the All-Star game obviously over the last 2-3 weeks, and tonight talked about Jose Fernandez, talked about Bryce Harper. We haven't talked about Jordan Zimmermann, who's made the team but will not play. He's got tightness in his neck, and the national starter is still going to take his family to the event and suit up. He had an MRI taken today, and it revealed that he had an issue with some soft tissue in the neck. And so he's not going to pitch in the All-Star game.
What tremendous record for Jordan Zimmermann, 12-4. in 19 starts and a 2.58 ERA.
Davey Johnson picked up the phone and called Bruce Bochy to let him know that he couldn't pitch. Swing and a miss. And while he was at it, he reminded him that Gio Gonzalez, Steven Strasburg, or Rafael Soriano could fill in nicely. Our Frostbrewed Coors Light Freeze Cam. Giancarlo against Steven Strasburg. Just that compact, powerful swing. Ed Lucas fouls one back to the screen.
So his second matchup against Ohlendorf. Ohlendorf has given Davey Johnson exactly what you want a guy out of the bullpen, and in the situation they were in tonight, exactly what you want him to do. He's working here in his 4th inning of work.
Ball and a strike.
I wonder if you get a matchup like this, Rich, these two guys try to outthink each other. They try to outsmart each other.
We've talked about it earlier. They faced each other a lot. Lucas at Dartmouth, Ohlendorf at Princeton. And they both had obviously terrific careers. In 2004, Lucas had one of the best offensive seasons in Dartmouth history. He hit .405. Ohlendorf was 7-3 pitching for Princeton. Maybe there's a little something there. Both were third-team All-Americans.
A little up and in fastball, then he came back with a soft breaking ball. I think he wanted it away, but it wasn't. It was up.
Lucas takes. And Ohlendorf walks him. Now gets to face Giancarlo Stanton. That same year that they were all Ivy together, Lucas was drafted by the Kansas City Royals, the 235th selection, 8th round. Ohlendorf drafted by the Diamondbacks, the 116th overall selection.
Well, I'm looking at some of the scores around the major leagues. Chris Davis at it again for the Orioles. The Orioles have a big lead, 8-3 over Toronto. Chris Davis has hit his 35th home run in that ball game. Adam Jones, a 3-for-3 night with a home run. And a lot of that damage, all that damage, 6 innings, 9 hits, 8 runs allowed. Mark Burley. Tough outing for the lefty.
The Mets and the Pirates are in the bottom of the 9th of a 2-2 game.
Well, the Mets just ready to play another extra inning game.
The Pirates have a runner at second, and now a runner at third, and 1 out. So they're 90 feet away. Stanton zeroing in on a 2-2 pitch. That swing right there, Tommy, was kind of the Stanton that we saw for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, but I think in this case with 2 strikes, that was just an emergency. I hope I foul this ball off swing.
The swing that he had against Strasburg was I'm going to hit this ball through the right field fence. A swing and a miss. Ohlendorf gets the strikeout. Ross Ohlendorf, 4 shutout innings.
our Toyota trend. Davey Johnson of the Nationals here, opening a 3-game series. Nationals and Marlins at Marlins Park. Miami has won 7 of 12, but the runs have been even. Mike Redmond looking at his lineup card, and with Eovaldi coming out, Ryan Webb comes in. So the Marlins bullpen charged now with trying to continue what Eovaldi was able to do, and that is throw 5 shutout innings after a real rocky first, in which he gave up 3 runs, walked a couple, but then from that point on he was dynamite. He gave up just 1 hit after that, and that was Wilson Ramos' tapper that he knocked down with his bare hand,
and actually ended up throwing 100 pitches even in the ball game. And you take into consideration certainly that first inning, all the effort throwing the 32 pitches, but all in all, a great experience, learning experience for Nathan Eovaldi, and just a job well done. Ryan Webb will get Ramos. Then looks like the pinch hitter is going to be Roger Bernardina.
Ramos, and then as Tommy pointed out, Bernardina, and then Denard Span. That one flipped up into the seats, foul and out of play. So for the Nationals, they arrived 6 back in the East. Atlanta, as we pointed out, losing to Cincinnati 4-0 now in the top of the 6th. Lefty up in the Nationals pen. And to the bat, Webb to first, and a good start for Ryan Webb. For Eovaldi, the last time he pitched, remember, the bullpen could not pick him up. He left with a lead. That was the comeback by the Cardinals that featured the Matt Adams pinch hit 2-run homer.
Yeah, that was with 2 strikes on him. Fastball that Dunn did not put in the location he wanted. Matt Adams is going to get a little more playing time, looks like, with St. Louis, because with Holiday out, while he's out with that hamstring injury, Alan Craig moves around, and that brings Adams over to first base. Our crack staff forever coming up with great notes. John Chimchuk coming up with a note that in the 2 innings that Strasburg pitched, he threw 66 pitches. In the 4 innings that Ross Ohlendorf pitched, he threw 66 pitches. Mike Dunn getting ready.
Good breaking ball, and Ryan Webb comes out and gets the first 2 outs of the 7th inning. Boy, it would be a nice finish to the first half if the Marlins could win this series, adding to what they've done from the end of May on into this ball game. Go 20-16. Smacked into right field. That's a base hit. Stanton will pick it up. Denard Span is aboard, his first hit of the night, and just the 2nd hit since that first inning for the Nationals. Here's Desmond. Second best record in the National League for the Marlins at 20-16 since the 31st of May, tied with the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Dodgers at 24-15.
Yeah, we mentioned the Dodgers on a 5-game winning streak right now.
In the American League, since that 31st of May, Oakland 23-14, Boston 24-15, Tampa Bay 24-16. Desmond is having trouble with that slider. 0-2.
Yeah, he chased a slider badly in the second inning off Evaldi.
Span on the move. Brantley's throw on the bag. A stolen base.
It's closer than I thought it would be with the jump that Span was able to get.
Good throw by Rob Brantley.
He's quick. When you watch Rob Brantley, there are areas of his game that he's working on, and I know he always continues to work on the throwing, but getting rid of a ball and throwing, that's not been a problem for Rob Brantley.
Count 1-2 on Desmond. He watches the slider outside. The Nationals broke a 30-year postseason drought by getting the postseason last year, going back into the Montreal Expo days. And I think just about everybody had them penciled in for 2013. As we said, they may still get there. There are many teams that got to the postseason last year that were scuffling at this point, that somehow turned it on in August and September. Webb loses him.
See, in a game like this, these are the things you just can't do. You can't allow the Nationals to get back in this thing.
Chuck Hernandez going to the phone. Next Coors Light watch party is an all-star game watch party at Lost Weekend in Miami Beach. See the game's biggest stars battle in the all-star game on the 16th on Fox. You can win Marlins tickets, prizes, meet Billy and the Energy Team, and enjoy specials on Coors Light at Lost Weekend. For more information, go to Marlins.com. Bryce Harper coming up, and Mike Redmond's not messing around with a 4-run lead. He's going to Mike Dunn. This would be a Metro PCS call to the bullpen.
since the second inning, since Giancarlo Stanton homered. Mike Redmond would like to keep it this way. There are 2 outs, and Mike Dunn comes out of the bullpen. Ryan Webb gave up a single to Denard Span and then walked Ian Desmond. And you got Bryce Harper coming up. And so Dunn trying to get through this 7th inning.
Well, he knows he has to make good pitches. He has a guy up there who, with one swing, can make it a 1-run game. That home run by Matt Adams, the only home run that Dunn's allowed to a left-hander this year.
So it's Harper, and it's Dunn. Webb watching from the dugout. And Dunn gets a strike. It's 0-1.
He's got that get me over slider. Harper was thinking fastball all the way.
Harper tonight an 0 for 2. He walked and scored back in that first inning. Has homered against Dunn. Two and one.
Sometimes can get in a little trouble if he misses with that slider and puts in the hitter's head. Well, got to go with the fastball on a 2-1 pitch.
Here's the 2-1. And he misses outside with a fastball. I mean, if you're the Marlins, you got a 4-run lead. The walk to Desmond hurt. But you walk Harper.
And you got that guy looming in the on-deck circle.
Amen, brother. And there's nobody throwing in the Marlins pen, so it would be Dunn versus Zimmerman. Three and two. Now Chad Quall's getting up. Harper ready. 3-2 coming. Center field. Hit well. Ozuna back to the track. Makes the catch. 405 feet from home plate. Marcell Ozuna runs down a Bryce Harper blast, which does no damage. And it's still 7-3.
Thanks, guys. With Nathan Eovaldi, and Nathan, it was a crazy game of your 33 starts. Where does this rank from a crazy standpoint?
I mean, it was definitely crazy. You know, the start of the game, you know, I didn't have my fastball command, and you know, walking the leadoff batter, just, you know, getting in trouble out there. You know, LaRoche got that base hit, and then, you know, fortunately I was able to hold him to 3 runs in the first. And the guys just bounced back for me. You know, as soon as we got in the dugout, you know, they were able to put a whole bunch of hits together and score some runs back for me.
That must have been nice to see the Marlins come. You know, it's against Steven Strasburg, a guy who has an ERA of 2.3, and you score 5 back. That had to give you a lift. But what did you do to make sure you got back on your game?
You know, just locate the fastball down and away. Struggling to locate in the first inning anywhere, basically. And, you know, it's just locating the fastball down and away for me. You know, for a righty, just everything else comes back off of that.
I was just thinking of something. Don't just say the guys did a good job getting those runs, because you wound up driving in a run with your first hit of the year.
Yeah, first hit of the year.
Off Strasburg.
Off Strasburg, yeah. But, no, I mean, it was an all-around good game. You know, the defense was awesome behind me, you know, and we were able to bounce back and score some runs.
Thanks for your time.
Yeah, no problem.
Nathan Eovaldi, guys, back to you.
7-3, Miami on top, and we thank Nathan Eovaldi for coming on after his start. Fernando Abad.
It's kind of amazing. I know we talked about it a little bit with Jacob Turner, and I think we've seen some of it with Nathan Eovaldi, how a little bit of Jose Fernandez has rubbed off on those guys. The high fives that Eovaldi was giving everybody before the game started, when he came in, before they took the field. Just the personality a little bit has come out in Jacob Turner. And you see him hanging around and sitting by Jose Fernandez a lot.
I would think, too, there's a pretty healthy competition going between the young starters,
which is good. I guarantee Smoltz, Maddox, and Glavine had all that.
That was ultra competitive.
Yeah,
they competed in batting practice when they shagged fly balls.
Fly ball competition. They competed on the golf course, off the field.
I don't know that I would want to compete on the golf course with Jacob Turner.
No, I hear he's pretty good.
Here's Ozuna now against the lefty, Abad.
And he got that big sweeping curveball.
Abad out of the Dominican Republic. Spent parts of the last 3 years with the Houston Astros.
Kind of filling that role that the Nationals had for 2 or 3 years of Sean Burnett, left-hander, that did such a good job for them.
There's a strike. Ozuna's triple in the first tied the game. That was a pretty good pitch. Abad thought so.
Now, you think about it, the Marlins with 6 hits, 4 of those hits were in that first inning.
Look at how much of the strike zone that one got.
Yeah, quite a bit.
Fastball, and Jerry Lane says he swung. Ozuna not quite sure if he agrees. AT&T U-verse Rewind. Oh, it's Disco Demolition Night on this date in 1979. All the disco records went up, and so did the crowd. Now, was this a doubleheader and they canceled the second game?
Yeah, I think it was it turned out to be not so good of a promotion for the second game.
Were the Indians, or were the White Sox forced to forfeit the second game? Jim Holley,
we're told yes.
A ardent Tiger fan, was watching those games in college.
Actually, Jim was as he was watching those games, he was listening to disco records.
Good. Out of defiance. So Jim says that because of the
the promotion gone awry between games, the White Sox had to forfeit. They're going to have to. A little roller, and Rendon overruns it. May have had a little more time than he thought. Dietrich, and it's going to be scored a hit.
Yeah, it's a do-or-die play. I agree with you. I think he might have had a little more time, but once you decide to pick and flip, you've got to pick it before you flip it, and he never really had it. And Derek Dietrich gets his second base hit of the night.
So an infield hit, and here's Echeverria. He had a single back in that big first inning. And since then, he's lined out twice, so he's on it right now.
Well, the single in the first extended his hitting streak to 11 games.
It's another one hard, and that's a fair ball. Down the line it goes. Dietrich may have a shot at scoring. Up with the ball is Harper, and here comes Dietrich. He will score. Echeverria stays hot, and Miami stretches the lead to 8-3.
Stay hot, Edge. That is his fourth consecutive multi-hit game. And you're right, he's been on every pitch that he swung at tonight. They try to go breaking ball in. He pulls it down the third baseline. We've seen them go away with fastballs, and he drives it into right field. Running hard and scoring easily with Dietrich, who got that infield base hit with 2 outs.
And here is Rob Brantley now. Our director, Jim Hawley, is correct. Lee McPhail, American League president at the time, awarded the game the next day to the Tigers. White Sox thought a crowd of maybe 20,000 were going to show up. There was a local shock jock that ran the promotion. And instead, there were 50,000 people, and many that snuck in after the first game started. Little roller out to short, and Desmond Stewart to first is in time. Marlins add a run, a Dietrich single, Echeverria an RBI double. It's 8-3.
Very nice. Very nice. On the mound, Mike Dunn continues on. Miami, quite a night here on the diamond. Chasing Steven Strasburg after 2 innings and adding on a run and leading the Nationals 8-3 here in the 8th inning.
This is the way you want to face Zimmerman with nobody on base.
We opened the telecast by saying it. Here are the Marlins and the Nationals, who haven't seen each other from early April, and a lot has changed since. The Nationals were many people's favorites to win the East. They've been trailing the Braves since. And the Marlins had the awful April and May and a very nice June, and have started July out well. Here's a game summary, 8-3 Fish.
Well, this is how it started. A big hit by Adam LaRoche, a 2-run double. They got the Nationals on the scoreboard right away, but Strasburg just wasn't himself. The big hit in the bottom half was a triple clearing the bases by Marcell Ozuna. Derek Dietrich contributed an RBI single. Hey, about Nate Eovaldi, he bangs out his first base hit of the year, drives in a run. Then in the second inning, Stanton with that laser shot, home run number 9 on the year, a 2-run shot on a 3-2 pitch. Boy, that was a lot of scoring early on. The Marlins added on a run the bottom of the 7th, and it's 8-3 Fish.
And it's Adam LaRoche at the plate. The Nationals had some momentum going into that Phillies series. They had won 4 straight and then dropped 3 of 4. And the Phillies, Tommy, kind of keeping hope alive with that veteran team, drawing themselves closer to Davey Johnson in second place. High pop up back behind the screen.
I was reading a note about the Nationals in that series, 4-game series in Philadelphia. They were just 1 for 20 with runners in scoring position in that series.
Oftentimes when the Marlins charter is delayed anywhere across the country, the word we get as a reason is weather in Philly. And tonight, the White Sox and the Phillies have been postponed. Weather in Philly.
So there is weather in Philly. Well, the Nationals just 1 for 7 tonight with runners in scoring position.
We could be on the tarmac in Milwaukee waiting, and word would come out, there's some weather in Philly. Our departure to Cincinnati will be delayed.
Weather in Philly, backed up in New York or Newark.
1-2. Good pitch. Dunn strikes him out. Freezes Adam LaRoche. And Mike Dunn has struck out a couple, and that giant Jenga game is still going on.
Yeah, just pull it out. One hand, one hand, one hand.
Almost a rules violation there,
Yeah,
Tommy.
yeah, I think that's the rules committee there.
Jason Worth done with a fastball that misses. Worth tonight drove in a run on a ground ball out. Has yet to extend his hit streak, which sits at 8 games. Mets and Pirates are in the 10th, 2-2.
Well, the Mets just waiting till it gets to 15 innings or beyond. I think they've played 4 games this year of 15 innings or more. Of course, one of those against the Marlins, that 20-inning game.
I think I saw a note where Major League Baseball is on pace to have a record number of games that are 14 innings or longer this season.
Mets and Marlins played 15 innings here. It just seems like, I haven't seen a note on it, but it seems like the Mets have played more extra inning games than anybody.
Of course, the Marlins and the Braves just played a 14-inning game here. That ball's hit pretty well. Left field and deep. Ruggiano on the run at the wall. And he leaps and it's off the wall. And Worth cruises into second with a double. I think Jason Worth thought that one was out of here.
I've seen a few visiting hitters shake their heads. Saw Dan Ugla the other night. Boy, this pitch is up, belt high, and it is belted by Worth. Just over the glove of Ruggiano. Yeah, and I would absolutely guarantee you Worth thought it was a home run. Marlins players know because they play enough games here. But visiting players, when they hit balls like that, in their mind, they're saying that ball's out of our ballpark.
Anthony Rendon. Rendon, a quick rise to the big leagues. And some of that with the injury and the struggles of Danny Espinosa this year. Just 79 games in the minor leagues.
You know, he first came up when Zimmerman got hurt. And they plugged him in at third. And then when he went back, they started playing him in the minor leagues at second base. And then he got the call to come up here and play second.
One of the scouting reports on him states that he is a sweet swinging right-handed hitter. You hear that about lefties. You don't often hear it about righties. Chad Qualls in Miami's pen. Three and one. Drew Storen.
Boy, it's been a struggle for Storen this year.
And now Dunn has 2 on. That's impressive. Especially after you've had a few pops at the Cleveland. trying to,
always a little tougher.
Trying to play Jenga. But Qualls is ready. Redmond's going to go get him. Jerry Lane will make the
as if he's going to make another move.
Adjustment on his scorecard. You think that's a hotel pen, or is that like the official pen of Major League umpires?
I think it's probably a hotel pen.
8-3 Marlins on top of the Nationals. Here comes Qualls. Metro PCS called to the bullpen.
It was 7-3 Miami after 2. The Nationals threatening here. Marlins make a double switch. Placido Polanco into the ball game. Ed Lucas goes over to second, so Derek Dietrich comes out.
Boy, it's so nice to have a versatile player like Lucas. He's played all 4 infield positions this year. He's actually played a game in left field, and he's played them well.
And here is Qualls now to face Wilson Ramos. Ryan Webb got a couple outs, gave up a single and a walk. Mike Dunn, over the course of 2 innings, got 3 outs, gave up a double and a walk. Rendon and Worth as the Nationals try to scratch back into this ball game. Qualls with that little hip turn right at the end of his delivery.
Yeah, good start. A couple of good fastballs to get ahead 0-2. Good job to smother that slider. I think a good learning experience for Rob Brantley tonight in that first inning to get his pitcher through that first.
One-two pitch coming to Ramos. One and two. Oh, the parade of relievers for the Marlins came a lot later than it did for the Nationals. Nathan Eovaldi, after the rough first inning, 5 shutout. But Steven Strasburg lasted just 2 for Washington. Qualls gathers, throws, and the 8th is scoreless for the Nationals. Nice job by Chad Qualls. And the Jenga game goes on. The Fish on top of the Nationals. The All-Star Game, of course, is coming up on Tuesday, and it's only on Fox. 7:30 Eastern start. Jose Fernandez will be there for the Fish. Citi Field, home of the Mets, home of the All-Star Game. Coming up on Marlins Live, presented by Checkers. Craig Minervini and Frank Fort and Jose Fernandez, an exclusive interview on his All-Star selection. Highlights and a wrap-up as well of this one. Fernando Abad continues out there for the Nationals. Polanco, who came in the double switch. Miami adding a run in the 7th on Adeiny Echeverria's second hit of the night. An RBI double. So 8 runs, 8 hits. And this would be a nice way to start this final series of the first half. Game number 91.
It's the most runs in a game that the Marlins have scored here in the month of July. Got to go back to June 9th at Citi Field when the Marlins had beat the Mets 8-4. That was the afternoon game, the 10-inning game, after the 20-inning game.
One-two from Abad. And Polanco fouls it back. It's still going, Tommy. The Jenga game, it just won't quit. At some point, it's got to be tough to put the blocks on top. Or at least it would be for you and me.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, we get the stool.
Zimmerman.
So when we get the little mini step ladder.
Throws out Polanco, and Justin Ruggiano will come to the plate. AT&T U-verse poll results. Are you happy with the National League final vote outcome? And fans tonight are. Despite that AT&T Twitter poll all week, the unofficial fan vote, Desmond knocks it down, picks it up, and throws out Ruggiano, which had Yasiel Puig up on like 80%.
You know, I even heard an interview today with Joe Torre of the Major League office, and certainly a former manager, broadcaster, player. He's seen everything, and even Joe, as politely as he could, representing Major League Baseball, his response was concerning Puig not being selected. He hasn't earned his stripes yet. It's something you have to earn, and I think enough said on that. And he still may be selected if somebody has an injury or can't go.
And Lucas, a little flare on the right center, and it falls for a hit. Lucas, who lined out in the first, gets that to even out. And he's 1 for 3 tonight with a couple of walks.
Yeah, Ed's been on base all 3 times with the 2 walks and the base hit.
Stanton now, a laser beam home run in the 2nd, has struck out twice, has walked and scored. And Abad misses away with a fastball. So for the Marlins, so far a lot of good things have happened tonight. We saw a young pitcher, Nathan Eovaldi, get back up on his feet after a rocky first inning. We saw Stanton hit a home run. We saw the Marlins have some clutch hits and knock Steven Strasburg out of the game. And so far, no Jenga. Not yet, anyways. Oh! Down goes the Jenga. Ryan Webb, Mike Dunn, and Qualls backing up Nathan Eovaldi. 6 innings for Eovaldi, and he's lined up to go 2-0 if the bullpen can deliver. Steve Lombardozzi, pinch hitter. And then top of the order, Denard Span and Ian Desmond. In the hole at short, Echeverria got a glove on it, and that's it. It rolls into left field, the base hit. Top of the order now, here comes Span.
Thing we've seen in Qualls in these situations with the score 8-3, generally speaking, he's not going to hurt himself. He's going to throw strikes. He's going to try to keep that sinker down.
That's a strike, and it's 1-1. Pirates and Mets are still 2-2. Now in the 11th in Pittsburgh. Reds 4-1 over Atlanta. Atlanta lost B.J. Upton to an adductor strain on a attempt at a diving catch. So they've lost a pair of outfielders in the last 2 nights. Jason Hayward going down with a hamstring issue last night. Arizona and Milwaukee are underway. That's 1-1. Of course, the Marlins are headed to Milwaukee. I believe it's, is it Summerfest? What do they call that up there?
Summerfest, yeah, on the lake.
It's the huge music festival right on the lake, and it will be in full swing when the Marlins get up there after the break. Grab a beer and a brat and go down and listen to some music.
They usually have some really good acts, good bands. I believe Rich, I think he's still involved. Pretty sure. former Marlins president under Wayne Huizenga, Don Smiley, has taken over Summerfest, and that's his project every year.
You are correct. Maybe he can get us in to see Matt Nathanson.
Get some tickets.
Counts 2-2. Jerry Lang calls him out. Qualls gets the strikeout. 1 out here in the ninth.
A little backdoor slider. Did it get there? It just caught a piece. Good job by Brantley. Catching, kind of framing it there.
Here's Desmond. You got a lot of things going on audio-wise right now. Tom, you got the Whistler going, and I think I hear the cricket going as well.
I think the Whistlers upset the cricket.
Eight-3. Desmond swings and misses at a breaking ball. Desmond, a 1 for 3 tonight. Nationals have just 6 hits to go with 3 runs. And they came roaring out of the gates with those 3 runs in the first inning. Oh, 2. Got him. So Qualls with a pair of strikeouts, and the Marlins are an out away from an impressive win to open up this 3-game series.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Rich. There are a whole lot of good things that took place in this game tonight. Between Eovaldi's outing, some of the key base hits. Hitting streak by Echeverria continues.
Here's Harper. Lombardozzi still at first. Now on his way to second. Giants and Padres, 2 teams that have slumped of late, are playing tonight in San Diego. Cardinals beat the Cubs 3-2. Edward Mujica, another save. Joe Kelly got a win.
With the Giants just a game ahead of the Padres. Giants 41-50. Both teams kind of took a spin in the wrong direction after they faced the Marlins.
Two and 1. To start the night, we sat here and talked about what a great pitcher's duel this was going to be. 2 guys who had 2 of the highest average velocities in the game. Fastballs. Eovaldi and Strasburg. And in the first inning, there were 8 runs combined. Strasburg was gone after 2. Harper walks. Pretty good pitch. In fact, it was in the strike zone. Chuck Hernandez falls down. Well, you could see how far outside Brantley was set up, and he had to reach across the plate.
Sometimes that alone fools an umpire. He likes to follow the catcher. Here at the major league level, most of the pitchers are going to hit that target.
Zimmerman now. Lil Tapper. Polanco hustling, throwing. Got him! Ball game. A weird and wild one, but a win for the Marlins. Chad Qualls finishes what Nathan Eovaldi started. Giancarlo Stanton goes deep. The Marlins knock Steven Strasburg out after 2 innings. A nice job behind the plate by Rob Brantley. And the Fish win it 8-3.